get a response back going, yep, 8 times 7.5, knowing what they were up to that night, knowing what time it was in the night.
Yeah.
Like, what do you do with that then?
So what I also did was I sent a few others.
Okay.
And I'm not going to say where, but I sent a few others on that one. And I started getting, like, I had one response at, I think it was just before 6 a.m. saying, when I woke up, it was there just before 6 a.m. saying, you know, don't go with it. And then I got a couple others too saying, don't go with it. It's like, and so you're right. I think at that point in time, I don't think I would have gone with it because I could see Bennett and a couple of the Panthers, like a couple of the Panthers saying, yeah, tell him it's like 8 times 14 and see if he tweets it.
Yeah.
Can you imagine?
It's like an episode of Impractical Jokers. They're all there behind the screen, the microphones. Yeah. Tell them it's 8 times 10.
8 times 14, 95% in signing bonuses, full no trade clause, and 1% of the franchise. See if he tweets
Oh my God, he tweeted it. That's good. Okay, well, can Bill Zito keep all 3?
That's the question. So he said it on the ice after, and you know, it's a really tough spot we all put him in that moment, because what's he going to do? Say, no, I'm letting 2 of them walk? Yeah. And as they're celebrating the Stanley Cups. And so, you know, I think in the moment you're wondering, okay, is that just the emotion of the moment? But I did hear on the weekend, Kyle, that they had said, we are going to try. Now, I think it's fair to say there are differing opinions on whether or not they can do it, whether or not it's feasible, but they are going to try. You know, I think one of the things that kind of happens here is that teams, like the Panthers, really try to lock down information to begin with. But I think also what happens is they try to lock it down so they can, you know, they almost are like, in some ways it's almost like they don't want each player to know how much of the pie is there. Because, you know, especially if you get 1 or you get 2 and you don't get the 3rd, what's left? Or if you get all 3, what's left for all of them? So I've talked a lot about how I think the offer for Bennett was 8 times 7, similar structure to Verhaeghe. I think they've budged on that. I think they're at about 7.5. I don't know if that'll get it done. We'll see. I mean, the thing about Bennett going on stage and doing that is that, like, a few people were saying, would Bennett really go out there if he didn't think it was real? And I think the other thing is, I would bet that there's at least one other team out there that is going to try to make him an offer that he can't refuse. And it's everyone's job, like the agent's job, to figure out, okay, what could that offer be? What do I got here? You know, how does he feel about all that? I have always thought Bennett's staying, and I think he will stay. But I think someone is out there always trying to tempt you. But I think he stays. You know, the Marchand one, there's been a lot of noise about Toronto. There's been a lot of noise about Utah. I think first, does anybody get the impression he really wants to leave Florida? Like, to me, it all looks like, you know, I heard with Ekblad, I think the Panthers are likely going to try to give him term and spread it out over term and see if they can make it work. I don't see why they can't do the same kind of thing with Marchand if they want to. Like, to me, before it becomes Toronto or Utah or anyone else for Marchand, I think you've got to give him a reason to leave Florida.
Right. Well, because when he was on the stage on Sunday at their parade, he said, you know, it's nice to know I don't have to play against these guys anymore. Like, as if he was going to continue to play with them. I know.
These guys, I don't know. These guys are the ultimate trolls. Like,
I know.
I mean, You can't believe like these. You can't take anything they say seriously until it's done.
Right.
But that's
who's
the
more
thing,
trustworthy? Players at the Cup parade or GMs around the draft?
Yeah, it's both tied for last. But you know what? Like, why would you want to leave there?
Yeah, I know. Well, that's what I felt about Bennett, having not spoken to him directly or really know anything about the inner workings of it. Is just it seems that it all seems to fit there, and so how much money has to be offered from somewhere else for him to go, oh boy, I've really got to consider this.
Yeah,
that's what I've always felt there. And I know the Marchand one will be, it's a bit of a different situation, of course, but
I think the one that's caught people by surprise, Kyle, is Ekblad. Like, I watched, and all the people who were tweeting out like those speeches that night, like Ekblad's speech was very much like, I don't, like, you could see, like, I don't know if I'm going to be here, right?
Yeah.
And he said during the Cup final, this is where I want to be. I want to make it work. I had heard that, and he actually kind of talked about it on Saturday. He said they take a while here. They go to the last minute. They're going to try. I'll say this, like, the Ekblad one could really shake up because there were teams out there, I think, were going to take a real run at him. Like, he was going to be, like, there were teams lining up for him. Right-hand shot D, the way he played. If Florida does find a way to keep him, and I think he absolutely would be leaving money on the table to stay. But, you know, don't forget, when Ekblad's deal was signed, his last one, it was very controversial among other teams because it was such a big deal. It changed this, like, his deal was what changed the trajectory of contracts for defensemen and players coming out of their ELCs. That was an industry-changing contract back when he signed it. And so he got more than expected back then, and he would have to leave money on the table now. But if he takes it, he really changes the market. Like, especially if teams are right that if Gavrikov's not staying in LA and people think he's going to New York because they think there's a limited amount of teams he really wants to play for. Again, we'll find out if this is all true. Like, handedness, obviously not everybody shoots the same. Ekblad a righty. But if Ekblad stays, first of all, it's great for a guy like Provorov. But if you're looking for a defenseman, that really hurts the market. That really changes the market.
Absolutely. Okay. Anything else?
That could be good for Calgary.
That's where I was going to go next. I was going to say anything else on the Panthers before we get to another defenseman who's not quite at UFA status yet, but does reside as of now in Southern Alberta.
No.
Okay. Well, let's get to Rasmus Anderson then, because he was number one, bullet point one on your latest 32 Thoughts blog.